Hey everybody, welcome back to Parenting with a Purpose. I am your host, the one and only Donna Janelle, where we strive to bring back the responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parenting. We know, I tell you, parenting is a hard knock life out here for us, right? So I was told by my bonus mom, stop saying stuff is hard. I'm like, Mom, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. So my new word is parenting is challenging, y'all. It's very challenging, okay? And you know, we're the bows and our children are arrows, and they're going to go wherever we aim them. They're going to land. It may not be today, may not be tomorrow. Man, it may not even be the next 5 years. I'm going to keep it real. But they're going to land eventually, right? As long as we give them the tools, as long as we dress them so that the world doesn't dress them, because we know the world will dress you up with anything, right? But as long as we give our kids the proper tools, they will be successful, whatever success means for them and your family. You know, success is different for everybody, right? But as long as we're giving our kids their tools, man, they're going to be able to utilize some tools in their future, the further future. It just somewhere, somehow, they will be able to do what you have already poured into them. May not be the same way that we do it, but they will do it, right? So our job as parents is make sure that we give our kids the tools so that they can go out and be productive in life, right? Be successful, right? So that's what we do at Parenting with Purpose. And we talk about what they don't talk about. You know, you guys been watching this show, and we talk about some stuff. Like last week, we talked about some stuff regarding fathers and things like that. So the month of June, you know, has been all about dads, right? We've had all dads on the show, and just talking about the role and the importance of a father. I think we don't give our fathers enough kudos out here, right? I think we don't talk about, you know, the single dad, the married dad, the co-parenting dad, like dads in all shapes and sizes, as much as we do the mothers, right? Mothers, I mean, we are, you know, pretty much the foundation as well. And we take a lot going. And sometimes I think we just talk too much about just being the mother and not giving the men the kudos, because you need a mother and a father, whether you're in the household or outside of the household, to raise your children. Like kids need both parents, period.
Yes.
You know, I told y'all last week, being a single mom is not a flex. If y'all want to flex, y'all can go ahead. Y'all can have that. I've been doing that for 15 years now. I don't like it, okay? Don't like it. So basically, that's what we talk about tonight, about dads. You know, I'm trying to think if I got a story about my kids, y'all, because you know I always got a story about somebody. But honestly, you know what it is? It's really, everybody's been, you know, they're out of school. And everybody's been like kind of chilling right now. We're all just geared up for, you know, as I said last week, for Lizzie to go to the Marines. You know, we got a little party for her this weekend. But that's kind of what we've been focused on. We've been doing that. They ain't been cutting up. Like, they ain't been testing my inner gangster, you know. They actually been doing cool now to think about it. I don't know if I should say that, but they haven't really been testing my inner gangster like they normally do. So, but tonight, we have guests here. So, you guys all know Pam. She's been a frequent flyer on the show. You're going to see her a lot more, you know. And then we now have Timothy Moody, but we call him Moody, right? Yeah. He like to go by Moody. So he is our guest here. And me and Pam, you know, usually it's like a lot more testosterone in here. They be trying to double team me, triple team me and stuff like that when all the men be in the studio. But I got Pam as my backup today, y'all, okay? Oh, so we going to kind of double team Moody today about this father thing, you know, especially being girls. And, you know, most girls are fathers, daughters. Like, I'm such a daddy's girl. It's crazy. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Let's see what's going to go on the show. I'm scared because you said you're going to double team me, so I'm ready for y'all.
Y'all ready? Listen, with your job, I think you good. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how many kids you got. You know, break it down a little bit.
All right. So like I said, my name is Timothy Moody. I don't know, I got this name in high school, Moody, so I just go by that. Everybody calls me Moody. So I'm a father, obviously, to two. With my wife, we're supportive, and I'm a state trooper. So I've been a state trooper for almost 3 years. And that's a little bit about me. We'll talk a little bit more when. All
right. How many children you have?
I got two girls. 2 girls.
Girls. Okay.
No boys in the car, 2 girls. So it's a little different aspect. You know what I mean?
I bet it is. Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah, so, how old are your girls?
So my girls, the oldest is 4. She'll be 2 in September. And the youngest, oh man, that young one. She is 2. It should be 2. She'll be 3 in in January. So
Yo, does that youngest test your inner gangster a little bit?
She tests me all the time.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Every day
That
she
inner-
tests me, and I gotta realize she a girl, and sometimes I just gotta move side.
Yo, it's always one. Like I have the 4, and I'm telling you, one of them tests my inner gangster so much. I keep me on my knees in prayer. I was like, you know what? You I have an amazing relationship with God. You are it because girl. But that's cool. All right, welcome to the show. All right. So we've been talking about this whole month. We've been talking about the role of a father and the importance of a father, because you can have a role but not really understand the importance of that role, the value of that role, and what it brings to the household, to the child, to the community, to the world at large.
Yeah.
I had a guest on here last week. He was really good. Like we were talking about like the importance of it and how it really does transit into our community. Because when we look at it, and it's good that you're a state trooper too, because I know you probably see some stuff out there.
See a lot of stuff. I see a lot of stuff. But before that, I actually did a lot of mental health things with kids. Ooh. So I did like mobile therapy, and I worked actually in like treatment facilities and things like that. And I see a lot of times when parents in general. I know you're talking about fathers, but you see a lot of those things, like those negative things or things that don't fit into society, kind of stems back from what is given or not given to the parent or from the kid, whether it be mother or father. Like, what I mean? Right. But a lot of those kids traditionally didn't have their father in their life right. and things like that. So,
oh wow, oh that's what's up. Yeah. This gonna be good. This gonna be good. Because I think when we think about parenting and like when you see things happen with our kids in the society and community, when you look down at the root of it, you always like 85% see that it wasn't a father actively involved in that child's life, right? They're being raised by a single mom, and it's not that single mom is, it's hard, but we moms, like, we ain't got the roles of a father. Like, that's not my job. I'm telling you, that's just not, I don't want it. Like, I'm trying to be the best mom I could be. You want me to be a dad, too? Like, that, I don't want to take on that role. But we do the best that we can with our kids. But I think traditionally, like, a lot of time, single moms or even moms in general don't understand the value and importance of a father, like the role of a father. Can you talk a little bit about the role of a father?
All right. So first of all, kudos to you for a single mom, because I tell my wife all the time, I don't know how I'm gonna do this without you. Yeah. So kudos to you. But like so the role of a father. So that's like that's a loaded question, right? So no role like. My role doesn't really translate to another person's role, but they kind of like, sometimes they might be similar, but it's like with that role is like no like one size fit all or whatever.
I like that.
Yeah.
So like for me, I can talk about like what a role like really looks like for me. So obviously the biggest role, not the biggest role in no particular order, but one thing is finances, right? So I gotta make sure that my family is secure like financially, so that way you can take a lot of those burdens off, and you can support and provide those resources as you spoke to, so that way they can be great kids, right? So me being financially stable allows like my kids to kind of enjoy those resources, whether it be sports or different achievements, maybe whether it be trips and things like that. Because I know one thing growing up, my parents did a great job, but then you get to other people, right? And they be like, "Oh, I've been to Europe and things like that." Like, I mean, so
Like,
just,
I-
Wait a minute, I thought my parents was doing good.
Hear me out. My parents were great, but just to make sure that they get those opportunities, and make sure that if they have something that I feel that is beneficial and things like that, finances isn't the reason why they don't get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just making sure, you know what I mean, I'm going on that front, right? So
Wait, let's pause there at the finances.
Yeah.
I want to get, because we don't really talk about that. Like, we don't talk about, growing up, and a lot what we hear about is being a provider, a protector, making sure that that's the role of a father. They don't really talk about emotionally intelligence and all that other stuff. We'll get into that later. Yeah. But being a provider, but what does a provider looks like? Like that's what, what you just said is like, it's so, wow. I'm just like, yeah, opportunities, like being a provider and being a successful provider being an effective provider, because a provider that's not struggling. Not saying, I mean, we all got some struggles or whatever, but take it. What you said, one of the things that you said that caught me is like making the burden light, like a less burden in the household when the finances are straight, and it's going to give your kids more opportunity to be successful.
It is
exposure.
Because think about it, when your child is like, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there, you don't want to tell them, oh, we can't do this because I didn't do right by my finances.
Right.
But they're not going to understand that. Like, what are you talking about? I said I want to go here. So now you're like, no, we're going to go to the park. Now they're getting angry.
Right. Like,
now they're getting upset. And you're like, you're really upset over this, but they're a child. So they don't understand that. So it's like, how can you teach them by having yourself together before you even have them?
Man.
So before they even came into the picture, you had to already have certain things established.
So preparing and making sure that those things are good for them. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that, and sometimes we so haphazardly just live life, just on autopilot. It is what it is. We get caught up. But talking about the preparedness and financial part of it, because that's one of the number one issues a lot in families, whether it's married, single, household, or whatever. Finances is a major issue, especially with this economy, especially with being black. Like it's like so. And I hear people say, which I don't believe in excuses. I have a thing about excuses, and people tell me it's not excuses, but they really are. But I always hear people say, especially when it comes to men, there's no good jobs out there. There's nothing I can really provide for my family like that. Job? Right. So I'll be like, well, I mean, I see stuff people hiring all the time. I don't understand the problem. Like, you start low and then you go up. Like, I don't understand. You go to school. Like, there's some things, but I'm not a man and not a black man, so I don't know the challenges of a black man here in this world. But I also see successful black men. So for me to think that it's impossible is like, it makes me like, yo, you making a lot of excuses, bro. What's going on over there? But can you talk to us a little bit about like really making yourself financially stable? Like what does it really take? Like the mental fortitude to be able to say, hey, this is what I need to do. I'm going to keep pushing, because I'm quite sure you're a state trooper. You're a black state trooper, right? So I'm quite sure there has been some opposition your way from either black people or even a counterparts, like because of your role and who you are and just being a black man in general, quote unquote, successful. You know what I mean? Because we're so used to seeing black men and fathers in such a low role, and it's crazy because there's a lot of black men in high roles, but it's not exposed. We don't see it. So the picture that the media and social media and the community portrays is that we ain't it.
That's really not true.
You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of successful black people, but it's just the exposure. But can you talk a little bit about what it really, the mindset, what it really takes to be financially stable and why it's so important? Like you talked a little bit about it's important to make sure that these kids get what they need, but really being the leader and the head of the house.
Okay. Yep. So I want to say, so every day is a battle, right? So like some days I'm better than other days and things like that. So I'm still working on myself and things like that. And to the person who may be listening to this, who might be not in a financial place right there, you just gotta understand that you gotta understand your goals and put things together and understand that I need these things to go well for myself, and I gotta figure out how it makes it go well. So it might be going to school, it might be talking to a friend, getting a connect, or whatever it is to assist you to get to that. But I say that to say, like, so when I had my first daughter, I wasn't in a place financially where I felt like I needed to be, right? I felt like I was doing well, but it was just me and my wife, right? Benefits wasn't there, like job stability. I was working for a nonprofit, a great nonprofit, first of all, but working for a nonprofit, I was watching jobs kind of dwindle and go away and things like that. And I'm like, well, I told my wife, like, hold on. So at that time where I was working at, I was getting paid higher than most people, right? So I'm like, who is going to be the first one on top of me?
Wait a minute, hold up.
And so none of that mattered to me until Tegan came, my oldest daughter, Tegan. None of that mattered to me. I didn't care about, like, I just cared about now, right? You know what I mean? Right now I was doing well. We was able to do a trip, go on a trip here and there and things like that. We was living comfortably, doing whatever we wanted to financially. But not like, but when I had my oldest daughter, I realized, well, what's the long term goal?
Right.
When I turn 55, what is going to happen at 55? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going to go? Like, you know what I mean? When it's time for them to go to school, like, what are we going to do here? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I always hear my wife talk about private school and things like that. So I can't pay for private school right now. Like, I can't do that. I can't pay for daycare. I can't figure out nothing. Like, you know what I mean? So it all like start coming to me when I had my daughter. So I wasn't okay then. And then so I took a big leap and I went to actually be a police officer in DC because those things were met, right? So now I was able to get that financial stability, the long term and things like that. So I knew what when I turned 55, I knew what that looked like with retirement and things like that. And but like that avenue all looks different. And you had to realize, like, so I initially applied to be a state trooper in Delaware and I didn't get it. But I knew that policing and I outside of money, I knew I wanted to be a police officer, but I knew that policing could provide a stable financial platform in long term for me, right? So I took a sacrifice for my kids, at the time my one daughter, and I decided I was going to take that leap and drive 2 hours to work every day, and drive 2 hours back from work every day. And but I knew that's where I needed to be, like as far as making sure that home was taken care of, like, you know what I mean. So although I love the career, I didn't necessarily wanted to go that far. I didn't want to go that far. However, my boy was like, yo, you can get hired here and things like that, and you can build your resume and ultimately come back and things like that. So that's kind of what I did, and kind of like to determine, like, all right, this is what I need. And I kind of sat down and I talked to like people close to me, and I understand, like, where do I want to be at, like, as far as like financial, like as far as money, comfortability, like, you know what I mean. And the biggest thing for me is not really today. You know, obviously I need to pay and things like, but it's tomorrow, like it's later on when the kiddos is ready to go to college and things like that. Like, what is it going to look like? And you touched on something like, oh yeah, I got to stay down, and then eventually you'll move up and things like that. And so that's what I was looking at, right? I was looking at the future, because what I'm making right now, I'm good and I'll be okay. But when the real bills start coming in,
the real.
The older they get, the more it costs.
What is that going to look like? And I'm looking like, you know what I mean? Because here you can look at year 20 and you know what you're going to make.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, or outside of other things and stuff like that. So, all right, cool. I'm cool. Year 20, we'll be all right. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Am I going to be able to get that? And at the time, I also understood, like, how do I want my family to live? So, right? So, obviously, I want them to live in a house. Right now, we was in an apartment, which was good at the time for me and my wife, right? It was good with just us. Like, and then I was like, all right. When my oldest teen came, I was like, I need a house. I need a yard, bedrooms, like everybody get their own space, because that's what I was afforded growing up. So that's what I wanted for them. So
I think that's awesome, because like what I'm hearing is like being a father, it takes sacrifice. Being the leader of your family,
Challenging
it takes
yourself.
Yeah, because wow, I can relate driving, because for me going back to school, like I live in Middletown, Delaware. My school was in Trenton, New Jersey, Ewing. So I was driving every day to hour 45 minutes, sometimes 3 hours coming home or whatever. So I understand when you talk about sacrifice, and for you to know that like you needed to make that sacrifice, like you wasn't selfish. And I think so many times like we think about, like you said, like it was you and your wife, y'all was chilling, life was good, like we was chilling, we ain't got no issue. Them kids come along, you start thinking about flag on the play. Like, wait a minute, you start thinking like you crazy. Wait, we gotta do this. Start thinking about that, and to be able to make that decision to make a sacrifice. And that's what I'm talking about when we talk about like a lot of times people don't see the job that they want. Like they know the job that they want, but they don't see it, or they don't get it.
Right.
So then what do you do when you don't get what you want? Like, do you just...
So that's what we got to go back to.
Yeah.
Because remember, he said he applied here in Delaware.
Right.
They like, we don't want you right now.
They ain't say it like that, Pam, though.
They right here.
You felt like, they're like, nah, he ain't ready.
Dang. So it's already another kick, because I'm already not comfortable with the job I got.
Right.
I know I need more. do you let that like deter you? Is it okay to stay in that spot for a little bit?
Right.
So
How long can you stay in that spot?
So that all depends. Like I mean, that all depends on that person, right? Like it all depends. So obviously, I was going to stay there until I found something that made me more comfortable where I needed to be. But at the same time, I'm like, I gotta go get it.
Yeah.
So how long
So
did it
I
take
gotta
for
go
that
get it.
transition when you got the notice like, oh, they ain't gonna let me in here. You got the word that you could go to DC. How long was that transition?
2 months. I was going like
So it's
like, I'm
basically
going.
nothing really to think about. I gotta
I'm
go
going.
do this.
I'm going. I talked to my wife and we talked about so also it depends on your situation too. My
Okay.
situation, I know you say you have people on here with all different backgrounds as far as co-parenting and things like that. So me, I was with my wife, so we made sure that decision was okay for both of us, and we made
Right.
it. And you got to understand that sometimes when you do those things, it's going to feel selfish, right? Because now the burden is on
Right.
the wife, right? You know what I'm saying? So everything there, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm driving back and forth, but when I get home, I'm exhausted, and then I got to get up and do the same thing right after. So when I'm literally home for enough time to sleep, and then the days that I work, and then I'm back out, going. Or if you talk about when I transitioned to being a Delaware State police officer, I had to do 6 months in the academy where Monday through Friday, I literally couldn't even call home. Literally couldn't call home.
Man.
Yeah, Monday through Friday. Now I had really good people where if something was going on, I could call home and things like that. But typically, you don't call home Monday through Friday. You go on Monday morning before everybody get up, and then Friday night you come home and you're exhausted because they working you.
Whoa. So kudos to your wife, yo.
So you had those. Sometimes those things feel selfish, right? Like, but at the end of the day, it's for the ultimate success for like
For the
you know
greater
what I mean?
good
So,
of
yeah,
the
I mean,
family.
yeah,
Right,
so,
right. That's
yeah.
awesome. Yo, that's what's up, because I didn't realize it was like that. I'm already, a little stressed out. My daughter about to go in the Marines and she ain't gonna be talking to me. And she gonna do 13 weeks out there. So when you just talked about that, it kind of hit me a little like, yeah, don't remind me. She ain't gonna be able to call me. But kudos to your wife though. So that's see, when we talk about, and our bishop talked about it recently, like, we talk about the separate roles, but we don't really talk about the roles together, like how important it is in a family. Like, all right, households they're all different, blended families and everything like that. But the core of the family is two parents in the household, whether it's blended or whether it's bio, right?
Right.
And understanding how a family in a unit works and operates. And once you realize that, you can really understand each individual roles and value each roles. Like, what I'm hearing here is like your wife, like, kudos to her. Like, she valued you. Like, she understood. Yeah, because so many times we devalue people. Like, we throw them away. Like, you ain't really about nothing.
Yeah.
You selfish, just any other. But the sacrifice it takes for the other person, the partner, to say, okay, I hear you, I see you, and I'm with you.
I honor your decision.
Yeah, like that right there is lit. Like, we don't talk enough about that too. Like,
No.
Households, I think a lot of reasons why the way that the world is in our community with our kids is because we don't have parents who are actively connected to each other, right? Whether it doesn't matter how actively connected. Like, it doesn't matter if it's blended, co-parent, whatever it is, because parenting is parenting. Like, at the end of the day, right? And there's so many sacrifices we make as parents. But a lot of times, the reason why our children are behaving the way they are is because they don't see the example. Because how do you demonstrate what you don't see? You can't be what you don't see. Not saying you can't, because I didn't see it and I'm better now, but because I worked towards it.
Right.
But, not being able to, I was telling my daughter this the other day, and I don't remember, it's a quote, but if you feed your family, like, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, right? But if you teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
Right.
So in order to do that, you have to have this, like, you have to be together.
Oh,
Go ahead, Pam. What you want to
No,
tell me?
I heard something similar to that. It was, would you rather eat steak or chicken every day? No, would you rather eat steak or chicken every day?
Yeah.
You don't know when you're going to get that steak, but how many people going to say, oh, I want the steak?
Right.
Not really observing and listening. You listening to respond versus listening to assess the question. Mm-hmm. The steaks sound good.
Right, yeah, I'm going to hire one.
But you only going to get that once. We
Right.
got 7 days in a week. What you
Oh,
want to eat the rest of the
right.
week?
Right.
You can make chicken salad. You can make fried chicken. There's so many different things you can do with that chicken. But where your mindset at?
It's your mind, yeah. So that's why I think, like, when you're sitting here just listening to this first portion of it, in my mind, I'm just like, I can see how important it is for the family unit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when I was married, you know, I thought it was important at the time. But I didn't value it as much as I, like, now being outside, being divorced and all that, you know. I got married at 19. So, married, had a baby, bought a house, all that at 19. And I didn't understand because I didn't really see it. I just knew I needed to be married, right? I didn't want my kids to grow up without their father in the house. So I literally made myself become the sacrifice, even though it wasn't working, but I sacrificed myself for my children. And nobody told me, I ain't nobody's superhero. I don't know who told me I had to do that, but that's why I was in counseling for years. But no, like, I can admit, like, being inside the marriage, I didn't value him. I didn't understand his role. And it's because I didn't see that myself growing up, right? So I thought that in the marriage, like, I needed to, because my mom, you know, they were separated and she'd had like different boyfriends or whatever, but it was like she had to be the provider, right? So I thought in the marriage, like, and being in foster care and then growing up homeless or whatever, I thought that I had to be the one to provide, protect, even though we know that that's generally the man role. But because I didn't see it, and because my ex-husband never met his father, right?
Wow.
So the role I began to take away from him when he was trying to do that, but he had nobody show him, right? And because I knew how to get it, not how to hustle, make things happen, I feel like I dominated that marriage and that relationship now that I look back on it.
Wow.
But sitting here listening to you, I can really see where I was in error at, and how, you know, there's a scripture says that a woman breaks up their own house, right? And sometimes we don't realize that we do that by devaluing our partner, the man of the house, and really let him learn how to be a man versus we think that we got to be the man. Now, I know we talk about the roles of the father, but that's the foundation of the house. Right. And now that I'm looking back and listening to you, like, I know where I was in error at. It wasn't all him. And I didn't have the wherewithal to continue after like the 16 years or something like that. Then it was going, because I was like, it just wasn't working out. But now that I look back on it, like, could have fixed some stuff and things like that. But the role of having two-parent household is so important.
It is.
Because the children will see it healthy and grow up healthy. Now, if you got two-parent household and y'all cutting the food, this, that, and the other, like, that ain't it. Right. That ain't where it's at. We ain't talking about that. Right. So then we can really understand the significance of the father.
Yeah. So just to piggyback on something you just said, so just like to build each other up, right? So you teach that man how to be a man, and that man allows you to be a woman, and that goes back to the kids, just like you said. Like, so now you are in a healthy relationship, and everybody is thriving and in a good space, and I'm FEs off on the kids. The kids, and
they feel that.
And so now I know I see it all the time where, unfortunately, my daughters are gonna get older and they're gonna date someone, and so hopefully they'll look at ours as an example, and they'll see like these are a lot of positive things that my dad and mom did together, and this is what I value, and these are my value systems and things like that. So I think it's good that everybody learns how to let people be who they are and teach people to be how.
Yeah, because it's partnership. It's a team. Like I ain't got to be the it person.
Right.
Let me do this part. Because when I look back at the stats, right, the statistics shows that girls do better educationally and interrelationally if their dads are active, healthy in their life.
Wow.
In the first show, I hate all them statistics. I don't have them right now, y'all. But just go back to the first episode of this series a couple weeks ago. But it showed that girls, because when you think about it, a girl kind of wants, normally we look at our mate somewhat similar to our father. Right, good, better, or different, right? Because we daddy's girls, like, we love our dad. You know what I mean? The dad role is so important, and the dad is the first, person who show the opposite sex love, like not in a, crazy way, but the standards of it and things like that, Like I always tell dads, take your daughters out on a date so they know,
Right.
standards. But being that when you don't have that, like if you look back at relationships, women are choosing the wrong men based on their relationship with their father. Right? Mm-hmm. So whether your father was like the great, amazing man, you're going to end up with a great and amazing man because you know the standards and you're not going to default from them. But then if your father was abusive to your mother, even if he wasn't abusive to you.
Yeah, you find it acceptable.
Yeah. So you start, my dad did it.
Excuses for it.
Yeah.
Indirect. Sometimes it's indirectly, right?
Yeah.
You didn't even know you're making excuses for it, but now you think it's okay though. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's crazy, like how
because it becomes a part of you, a part of your customs. Like you said, you ain't even know you took it on. It's just like, oh, this is okay.
Saying, it's not a big deal.
Right.
That's how you love him.
Yeah, and then respecting like a man in a house. Like I tell people, I seen this TikTok, right, and it was like showing different complications or right, and it showed ages like from toddler all the way to like 16. And moms, we tell kids what to do, like, yo, do this or do that. And sometimes we got to tell them like 10, 20 times.
Yeah.
A dad walks in the room, he ain't got to yell, he ain't got to scream. He be like, then your mom say, put that in it. He got the most monotone voice. Then your mom, and they just do it. Like that authority in the house, that honor and respect.
It's typical. It's typical, except for that little one.
Oh, the gangster one. Oh, except the gangster. Oh, you don't matter with that one, right? That one right there.
Look you right
yeah, it's like they different. They built different. These kids built different. like who you talking to? Like,
but it's typical like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and you be like, I done carried you for 9 months. I done did all this. I'm doing all this, and he walk in, you like. Okay, but it's that power and authority that I believe as God given, like we even recognize as babies in the house. And then once it get taken away from the household, and then that's when you start seeing the behaviors of disrespecting men, disrespecting just anybody in authority when it comes to females. Like they start dating, they start disrespecting their spouse, they start having kids, disrespecting their sons because of the structure of the household and what was going on. So it's crazy how we like, oh, that's the mom, that's the father, but how important that is.
Both roles together.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. You see some stuff out here. Now I've been doing this parenting thing for a minute. I'm looking back like, yo, you know what? I see it now. Like,
no, seriously. Something my dad always say is whatever the one is strongest at, allow them to do it. Right. It doesn't matter if growing up, oh, my dad did this, my mom did this, so this is what we gonna do. Nah, whoever is stronger at that, allow them to do that.
Right.
That is so key. So I know you initially asked me what are the roles, right? So that role might change every day or every month or whatever. Like whatever is going on in that household. Because I'm lucky enough to have a dual parent household. So that might change. I might have to go back and let her do something what I would typically do, right? So those roles, they alternate.
Mine has alternated, and I'm so happy right now.
She said, I'm happy.
I don't have to drop off the camp. Let me tell you, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like and we got a little fur baby now, so it's a lot. Like, gotta walk him, gotta feed him, gotta get her together, do all that, still get myself together. It's a lot. So now that he takes her to camp, I got like a little extra time to me.
Right.
And it just feels like, like it feels
like he took that burden away. Like what you didn't really, may not even realize it was a burden. It was just something that we're used to doing and continue doing.
Yes.
But when he took it away, you like, whoa, wow. Ooh, I can see now clearly the rain is going.
Also, it affects her different because of his crazy work schedule. It's like, dang, daddy get to pick me up. He take me there. It's such more excitement. It's a different love, a different peace, a different joy because like you said, a girl is that's daddy's heart and he's her heart.
Right.
Like regardless what mom did, we know mom got our back.
Yeah.
But that father and daughter relationship is just like so beautiful. And her getting up in the morning like, oh mom, you don't gotta do this. Daddy got it. He like, let mom help still shoot. But it's just like a whole nother aura on her.
Yep.
And it's just so beautiful.
I that goes back to one of the rules, right? Just being available. And like,
you said something right there. Whoa, you said something. Wait, I don't typically hear men say, do you typically hear men say being available?
No.
Oh, he said it so strong and mighty. Go ahead, talk about that, being available,
You gotta just make sure, obviously you want to go to work, right? Go back to the first part, finances, but obviously you want to go do whatever it is that you want to do, but just like Pam said, like just being there, like it makes her feel so much like, so your husband gotta go out and do what he gotta do, but he's available and knows, and she will never forget that. But guess what she gonna forget? She don't care how many hours you work.
Yeah, she don't
Still got how many hours you work. It's about the time you can spend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you do gotta go get that money, but you gotta make sure you're available. Like, and make sure that you're there. Like, so one thing that I've noticed, like, so my kids kind of need different things, right? So my oldest needs a lot of affirmations, and she needs constant reassurance and things like that. All kids need that, but she needs it more so than my youngest does, right? And so if I'm not available and not there, I can't give it to her. And she loves hearing it from her mom, but she also loves hearing from daddy. Like, you know what I mean? So just to make sure that, Tegan, you got this, you're amazing. Like, you can do all of these things and all that stuff, and just constant, just reassuring, like, and every time, like, she'll get home from gymnastics and she'll learn a new skill and things like that, and I could be extremely tired. I'm like, Tegan, all right. She'll be like, Daddy, look. And then if I don't give her no affirmations and I'm not available there, like, even I might be available in the physical sense, but not in the actual, like, sense that she needs it, she might get frustrated and walk away or whatever. But if I'm available and reassure her and let her know, like, that's amazing and things like that, she wants to keep going, and you can see it better with her, like, even with her education and all that other stuff, like, so. Being there.
Being present is a present. Being present is a present. And because I hear stories about back in the day, like their dad was in their household, but that was just sitting there. Like, they know a story of a dad who just worked and just sit on the couch, might be drinking some gin and juice. Like, I don't know. Like, there was a lot.
That's what. Okay, so one of my favorite movies is Bronx Tale, right? All right, so. All right, Colugio says to his dad, like, you're a sucker, right? I mean, that's the worst thing you probably could tell your parent.
Right.
But he comes from, you gotta look in his lens.
Right.
Yeah, you working and providing, but you ain't spending no time with me. And then if I'm spending time with you, it's riding the bus with you, because his dad was a bus driver.
Right, okay.
So you used to have to get on the bus with him. And then it's like, I'm trying to talk to you, but you got to entertain these people on the bus with you, or you fussing them out because they trying to sneak on the bus for free. So we really not getting that connection.
Right.
But then I got this guy named Sonny. Sonny shows me how to treat a lady. Sonny shows me how to provide for myself, how to provide for the ladies that I want, how to take care of myself in different magnitudes. He may not have been showing me the right way, but he was showing me how to do it.
Right.
But yeah, you telling me you got to work, you got to do this. Well, Sonny working too.
Right.
So what's the difference? He said, Dad, a working man is a sucker. He said, what do you mean, son? What do you mean? So when I say it's my favorite movie, because it make you sit.
Right.
Like, you just told me I'm a sucker and I'm doing this. He had to go talk to his wife and say, I got to fall back from some things. Because now my son's getting involved with a crowd he don't got no business with. Because I'm spending so much time on the bus trying to do this and that, and we still living the same. So if we going to live the same, then I can fall back some.
Right. Yeah.
So taking a moment to observe and say, like you said, they ain't gonna remember them hours you work. They ain't gonna remember this. What they gonna remember is that time that you spent.
Right.
Whether if it was just watching her do her gymnastic practice, just watching her sing a song, just watching her just watch the show, even if you fall asleep on it.
Right. That is so important because, you hear stories and, when people are going to therapy, when they think about like daddy issues or even mommy issues, like parenting in general, like because you're going to duplicate what you see. Like if you see that this is what you're going to do. And you know what woke me up when my kids, you know, these kids different.
Take a breath. I'm gonna pray for you.
I'm trying to tell y'all, they different. You know, I've been in this parenting game for 25 years now, and them last 3, they the ones. So as y'all know, I got the 18-year-old now and the 2 16-year-olds that are at home. So, but what I learned from my children is this, that you have to take that time out and really have relationship. Because I thought that I had to hustle and provide because that's what I seen. Like I gotta make stuff happen. Like I'm not trying to have y'all homeless. Like I was homeless. Like yeah, you gotta make it happen. But my daughter, the one that tested my inner gangster, she would come home. And I think I told y'all this before. She would come home from school, and I'd be like, "All right, do your homework, do your chores, this and the other," and she'd be like, "I need time." It's almost like The Exorcist came out. Like, what you mean, time? Yeah. She was like, I need time. And I was like, she was like, I need some downtime. I was like, well, you was on a bus ride for 45 minutes. That was enough downtime for you to get home. But she made me realize, like, exactly, like, because I started feeling like, you know, my mom and they're like, what you mean? You gonna do what I say? I was like, really a dictatorship. I was like, I don't get no time, but it's your fault that you don't get time. It was my fault that I didn't give myself time, not her fault. So what she made me realize is that you do have to debrief when you come home, and you do allow your children to. And as parents, for so long, because we felt like we had to have this superhero, this cape mode that we don't take any downtime for ourselves. Yeah. You know, like. When I got home, I debriefed in the car for a minute, like take some woosahs or whatever. But why don't we think our children need that too? Yeah. Our children need downtime too, but that made me realize, like, okay, Donna, you can kind of fall back. She wasn't doing it disrespectfully. She was, you know, it's just, you know, just the way I was growing up, just the way I grew up, like,
this what you did.
Yeah. But earlier when she said it when she was younger, I didn't understand it because I'm like, no, I'm working all the time. I'm doing this. You need to be doing that. But if we teach our children to be like we are, which we're not even happy where we are, we just doing it because instead of taking a moment and say, listen, you know what? I don't want you to have to work this hard. Right. I don't want you to have to do what I'm doing. Let me teach you. Let's do this together of how we can make the most of our relationship and our time. So when you said that I thought about being present because, you know, so many times we talk about, yeah, my dad was in the household, but what? What that mean? So being present is so important. It's such a young age to establish it at such a young age so that they know how to build better relationships with people. Right. Like you start them at such a young age to build relationships, they're going to go so much further. They're going to not have to be 35 years old in counseling and therapy sessions, talk about what it could have, should have, did it, and that wasn't right. Or even to the point where you hate your parents because you didn't understand what they were going through or what they're doing, right? Because there's a lot of people who are in therapy now because they blame their parents for so much, but not understanding that your parents did the best decision they could at the time. We going to get you. Hold on, okay? We got a little guest in the studio. You know, we talk about kids. You can't be a parent without having no kids, right? You know, it'd be that awkward moment, that time where you flowing, and they're like, well, I got to use the bathroom. You're like, wait, can't you hold it? And they're like, do you want to hold it?
But you want to know what's funny?
She went to the bathroom before she came?
You got to go to, no, I ain't going right there.
See?
I think you should go.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm not going right
there. Yeah. And you know what I thought? Mother knows best. They hate when I go to Mother Knows Best. but yeah, so the road, I think that is so awesome. So what else do you think, being that you've been in the mental health sector and you've seen kids and things like that, and what you do now, what do you see like the greatest need, like as a man, as a father, from their household into a community standpoint?
So the greatest need that a kid needs?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that a kid, like, they needs, it kind of goes on to like what you said as far as like being able to like express yourself, knowing how to like move in certain situations, like knowing how to speak, knowing how to advocate for yourself and things like that in a like sense outside of using your hands, right? So they need the tools.
I like that.
So they need the tools to like be able to grow and be a positive member in society, right? So a lot of the kids, right? So the biggest thing that kids and the place that I have, that they don't have social skills, right? So they don't know how to communicate with others without like fighting. They don't know how to articulate themselves, and I know it's harder anyway being young, but they don't know how to express like their emotions, right? Everybody's going to emote and have different feelings, but they don't know how to express those in a positive, safe manner and things like that. And just, I mean, ultimately, it's like it's education, right? Like to make sure that you like have that education so that you can do those things. You can't do any of those things if you don't have education. Like you don't know how to you don't know how to read, you don't know how to speak and communicate and things like that. So like being able to, and then it goes back to being like as far as present, right? So being present, that helps you understand your kid, right? It helps you understand like what's going on. So when it's time for you to talk and they shut down and things like that, you know where it's coming from because you're present. And that way, they learn how to express themselves with you. So when they go out in the world, they can express themselves in the world, right? So like a lot of people, like when you said the example with your kid, they get upset and instantly I could think about like someone like just yelling like, "Who are you talking to?" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
What did I just tell you? But she did a good job because she expressed herself, right? And maybe you might want to dive deeper in, right? Maybe you want to. Why do you need this extra time and things like that, or whatever? But you need to understand your kid, and that way they feel comfortable talking to you,
right?
And then that way they can go talk to someone else, and when they having issues, like they might get upset at little Johnny or whatever, and they don't have to feel like they need to punch little Johnny.
Right.
They can talk to little Johnny and kind of express themselves. But I think the biggest thing is to make sure that they have social skills and they got that education, and education is a big thing. Like it doesn't have to be a private school or anything like that. When you come home, the teacher give you whatever homework or whatever, like tell them whether it's homework or not, you want to have them teach it to you. If they teach it to you, then they know how to do it, right?
Right,
so,
yeah.
But just to make sure that they have those skills, so that way when they get in the environment, like they're comfortable with that. Like, right? Because you know you in order to get your job or even work for yourself, you're gonna need that, be able to express yourself. You need to write and read and count and do all those things. So make sure that they have those tangible skills so they can be successful. Yeah.
I like that because what you just said there was a lie. That was, but the first thing I thought that came to my mind is being able to speak for yourself where no one has to speak for you. Teaching when teaching them at home how to communicate is so important, so that when you're out here in the world, like nobody has to speak for you. You can speak for yourself, and not in a way that you have to always defend yourself, but literally articulate where people understand who you are and what you're about. That goes a long way because a lot of times, like we don't know people because we don't talk.
Right. Yeah. Even your own children.
Yeah.
You think because at this age they was like this that they going to continue to be that same exact way, and all honesty, that's not true. Yeah. And like you said, if you're not making that environment, if you're not taking that time to learn them, what you like now? I noticed you don't be watching this show no more. Why not? What's going on? I noticed that. And when you do stuff like that, it's like, they really paying attention to. I heard you singing this song. Where you learn that song at? Let me learn it, bro. Like you said, teach it back to me. Let me see if you should even be singing this.
Right.
And then I'm not going to tell you if it's appropriate, cool. If it's not, I'm not going to say, you don't got no business listening to that.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to break it down.
Yeah. That teaching is so much. And I like how you say, like, being present makes you know your child. Well, being present, actively present, helps you to understand your child and your child understand you. And you can see when there's something off or the different patterns. Like for a long time, I kept going to the grocery store and buy my one daughter to test my Nick Ain't story. The same thing. I didn't know like 3 months ago she ain't like that no more. Well, she ain't tell me. Well, when were you going to tell me? She was like, you didn't ask.
What was it again, Nick?
But she was, no, there it was. She was like not really eating it too much or whatever. And I still kept buying it. And I'm like, well, I brought this. She was like, ain't nothing in here for me to eat. Well, I brought all the stuff you like. Well, I don't like that no more. But when you want to tell me you didn't like it, but because I didn't ask her or just me not realizing that still was there, I just went on formality, routine. Oh, this is what I know she likes, but not understanding and realizing that they change just like we change.
Right, and like you said, the household may change like every day. It may change that week.
Listen,
You gotta really pay attention because tomorrow is not going to happen the way today did.
Listen, and that's one thing I teach my kids. Like, so, I have the one boy and the girls in the house, and typically, the dude, like, you take out the trash and all that, and I'm teaching him, like, and he like, well, I don't understand why the woman can't take out the trash. like he's so like, this just sounds like slavery. Like, this doesn't make sense to me, right? But I thought about it, like, because if I'm raising my daughter, she gonna have to take out the trash too, right? So why am I making this just his role?
Yep.
And he helped me realize, like, no, the roles around here about to change a little bit. So today you got trash today.
Yeah.
Next week you got trash.
Yeah.
He got dishes this week. Like, really switching it up so that we don't create these houses where, these are just these TV roles in this house, or this is what you're expected to do.
that.
Not being flexible, because what if he's married, right? And no, what if she's married and her husband is down or something, or can't do this or whatever, so the trash never goes out?
Right.
Or what if she down so he never eats? The dishes don't get clean? Like, really teaching them. Honestly, if we're teaching them how to live and how to be self-sufficient, but yet so that they're ready, so when the other person comes, like, they have a sense of self, right? I know what I can, what I can't do, and I don't have to be intimidated by somebody else's role or stuff like that. So really teaching our children how to have a sense of self for who they are. And that's one of the conversations I was having with my daughter, who's about to leave. And I was telling her, like, all this stuff, teaching foundation and stuff like that, and teaching you finances and all this other stuff. But most importantly, I want you to have a sense of self, of identity, because again, the world will pose them with whatever they want them to be. Today, you could be this. I mean, you can identify as a horse today. Like, really? No, you laughing, but I never seen, like, I'm seriously, I see people identify from male to female, right? I thought that was that. Like, I'm like, you just want to be a male today. Got you. But when they start identifying as animals, colors, like, it's really serious.
No, it is.
So teaching my daughter who you are and teaching my son who you are, so have a sense of self and identity where you don't have to try to recreate something, or like, you just wasn't created to be a dog, baby girl. So you're just not going to be a dog, and I'm not going to let you identify as a dog. Okay, just not going to happen. Yeah. So, like, I'm laughing, but it's so real, and you see it all the time. So I think really tuning into our children so that when we see these things, right, we're able to address it. For example, my girls, my two of my girls, both of their parents passed away, which is my sister and her husband. But when the one that's about to leave the house, when she started dressing like a boy, everybody was looking at her like, yo, you letting her be dressed like a boy, a tomboy, whatever. But people didn't realize the reason why she was dressing like a boy is because she missed her dad. And she wanted her dad. She knew she was a girl. She didn't identify as a boy. She started having masks. Like, she started wearing his clothes, started doing. Listen, this girl ended up started getting some boxers. I didn't know what was going on. But it was just,
Wow.
I knew where she was because I had the conversation with her to try to figure it out. Not, a lot of times when our kids start doing stuff, we start beating them down right away because that's not what we want them to be. Oh, not on my watch, you're not going to do this. But not understanding there's a root to the cause. So that phase was only for a little bit. We was just looking back at her picture. She was like, I don't believe you let me look like this. Like, what it was going on? I'm like, that's where you was. Yeah, and teaching them.
And walked with her.
Yeah, so that we don't have to think that it has to be one way.
And now she's open to talk to you, right? She'll talk to have those conversations and things like that. Those conversations that she might be scared to if you shut her down.
Right.
Yeah. So
when you're talking about communication, I just start thinking about all different types of communication. They be like, yo, children got to stay in kids' place, be seen and not heard. No, I want to see you and hear you. You too quiet.
Okay, where are you getting into?
You too quiet over there. I don't know what's going on.
Where do you draw the line at, though, with that?
Yeah,
where do you draw the line? Because sometimes people get sassy. I got 2 girls, and I'm like, oh, now. I want you to express yourself. You're going too far.
Yo, that's crazy. It's such a thin line. No, it's so real. Like, it's a lie. It is a lie. It's like, it is a lie. Because, Shaba, let me tell you, because it's like, where you can express yourself, but don't be disrespectful. Like, you got to teach them. And then not everything is meant to be said. Not everything. But it's through communication, and really, because I know the one that tests my inner gangster, I'd be like, who are you talking to? Oh, no, Mom, I was just saying, So
Run
it's
that
roll that back a little bit. Or I would straight, now that they're a little bit older, like if I hear something is off or how you addressing me, my son likes his yo bro. I keep walking like I ain't never heard what bro mean. I don't know what that mean. I'm blind, deaf, and retarded. I don't know what bro mean. Like I go mute. Wait, he like say he was like, bro. I go mute so fast and just act like I don't exist, and then he gets it right. Cause I ain't going. How many times I tell you I ain't your bro?
We getting comfortable.
Bro, stop
Yeah,
playing.
and that's what it is. It's really, and don't play with it.
Yeah.
Because so many times, like, we teaching our kids to be assertive. We teaching our kids to be able to express themselves. And sometimes we're like, don't do that on me, though. But, but just teaching them, most importantly, respect. And think about your tone and how you say it. Mm-hmm. And kids going to be kids. They're going to try you. Ooh, they're going to try you. Mm-hmm. But you got to be able to stand 2 toes down. Like, and don't tolerate it. And, but here's the other thing. You got to know what's respectful and disrespectful, though, because for me, for so many years, I told my kids they was disrespecting me, and they wasn't, because they didn't keep the kitchen clean. Like, we be throwing words around and stuff. I'm trying to
put them in the room.
I be using words, and they was like, well, how is that disrespectful? Because I said it's disrespectful. But when you think about it, like, we got to know really what we mean and what we say and how we demonstrate it too. Because I, for years, was so frustrated. Like, y'all some disrespectful kids. Y'all done left this kitchen like this after I done cleaned. It was all about me. And I realized, is that really disrespectful? And why do you think that's disrespectful? And I'm telling you, I'll be flying with words out there.
So what do you think it was, though?
It was me not being able to control the situation. Okay. As parents, we want to control. We don't own our kids. We want to control them. Honestly, we want them to do what we say, whatever. And my son told me that just sounded like modern day slavery to me. Like, that's what it is. Josh type.
And he probably said it so.
Like, yeah, because Josh don't really talk. He was like, well, when you think about it, because they get you start thinking, and that's why I don't be letting them talk too much, because I'll be like, you negotiated me that I don't even know where I want to talk about now. I don't know. But like really teaching them, like, really what the word mean and how does that affect you. So me throwing that word around, when I look deep back at it, it was me because I couldn't control the situation. And the only way that I could tell you that you're doing so bad to me is that you're disrespecting me, because I'm big on respect. Lying, cheating, still, like, I'm really big on truth telling. So for me, if I'm telling you you're disrespectful, that hurts me. Right. But using that is wrong. Using that as a parent, saying that, because then you start saying everything is disrespectful because you mad, instead of communicating and saying, listen, I don't like how I clean up all the time and y'all come in here and mess up. I don't like that. That hurts me. Instead of saying, y'all some disrespectful kids. Right. Y'all can't even clean it. It's really about communicating properly, because you don't want them to go out in the world and think that they disrespecting everybody when they not. Right. Or somebody don't
listen to them. So
yo, bro, you just disrespected because you ain't
hearing.
Yeah, like, because that stuff really grows on them. How you raise your children is how they become and what they would demonstrate and duplicate in this world. So we teaching them falsely about certain things, they're going to have that ideology. And when they get out in the world, they're going to be like, have a woo array.
So what's the garden you producing?
Yeah. Like, it's crazy. Like, so many times, when we think about the role of parent, like, it's not just provider, food, shelter. Back in the day, food, clothes, shelter, but it's so much more. I think when people look at Maslow hierarchy, they only look at those 3 things, but don't realize it's a whole pyramid: love and belonging, acceptance, self-reliance. There's so many things in that pyramid that we don't tap in as parents, but it's important for growth and development.
It is. And some people think that things are wrong with their children, and the whole time is communicating.
Yeah.
They needed that space. They needed that environment to feel comfortable to speak up, because I'm disrespecting you because I ain't washed the dishes or cleaned up. Really, I just ignored you because why did I have to clean it up? You're the one who gave it to me.
Right. So
you get what? So if you look through their lens, you the one who gave it to me.
Yeah, I think as parents, seek first to understand versus be understood is so important, because everybody wants to be understood, right? But we gotta listen to hear versus just
listen to respond.
just to respond, because we get it wrong every time. We just listen to respond. We go off the handle and stuff. So as we're wrapping up, so Moody, so as a father, right? How do you? What would you say to men, other men who really need to be like active, like understand the importance of their role in the family and their children's lives and how it affects the community as well? So starting in the house, like that role as a man, first of all, your role as a man then goes into marriage, fatherhood, and then out in the community and in the world. Like, how's that so important?
So it's important, right? So, everything says like everything starts from the household, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want these certain things, right? I mean, we could talk about like the ideal cliche jobs or whatever, a lawyer, doctor, and things like that. Mm-hmm. If you want those things for your kid and you want them to go out and be successful in the community and represent your name well, right? Because you're Moody. Like, I mean, everybody, all the Moodies always say, yo, Moody, you're Moody. You know what I mean? I even talk to myself, I'm like, come on, man, you got this, you're Moody. But if you want them to represent what that means to be, like, carry your name and represent you, like, you got to make sure you're pouring in those qualities, what you expect, your values and all that, and make sure that you're aligning those with what your expectation is. So if you want your child to be, hypothetically, just say you want them to be a professional athlete, right? Mm-hmm. They can't be a professional athlete if you ain't practicing with them. Ooh. If you like, you know what I mean? If you just send them to practice and they come home and you only go practice twice a week and y'all don't do nothing else, you ain't gonna be a professional athlete. You might not even be a high school athlete. Like, you know what I mean?
At this point, middle school is looking a little far off for you.
Or same thing with like education. Like, if you send your kid to school and that's all they do or whatever, like some kids will be, but for the majority, for not those overachievers and things like that they're gonna be average. But so whatever your expectation is, you got to make sure that your expectation meets like practice. Like, you know what I mean? So your expectation. Whatever your expectation is, you got to make sure that you're following through with those on your
investing in it.
Yeah, and making sure that those things are aligned with whatever you want. Like and also it's so important to make sure that you are raising strong individuals who are able to walk away from those negative situations, right? So that's where you see, like, especially like your early offenders and things like that. You see a lot of those are really good kids, like, right? Are really good kids, but they got up with Johnny, who ain't been doing nothing for 20 years, and he got and Johnny just sent the super hype, and he just showed them like, yo, I got the new Jordans and I did this, like, you know what I mean? And so now your child is, if they're weak-minded, they're subject to doing that, right? You know what I mean? And so you got to make sure that they're able to tell people no or get themselves out of this situation, so that way they're not subjected to those things that you don't want them to be subjected to.
Right, dealing with peer pressure and bullying and stuff.
Because I mean, ultimately, your kid is gonna be away from you a lot. You ain't with them a lot. You know what I mean? Early on, you with them a lot, but after that, they start checking on me. And now you about to be going for 13 weeks with no conversation. Yeah. So now what did you pour into your kids to make sure that they're going to be be on it, and be able to kind of embrace all those things, right? So that your daughter's going to the Marines, right? Yeah. So what did I pour into my kid to make sure that they, A, are in the right crowd, B, able to tell people to stop doing something if they don't want them to do, C, engage in taking all the information so that way that she is most equipped to be successful in whatever it is that she's doing, right? So like all those things matter. So, and it all starts at home early on. It starts at when they're an infant, like, you know, you embrace them and all that stuff. You provide them and you meet those needs that they need and things like that. So, and then everything counts.
I like that. Everything counts. There's nothing wasted. You know, I'm big on that. Everything counts. There's nothing wasted. I think. Oh, that's awesome. Pam, you got anything before we close out?
Nah, just make sure you show up the best way you can show up. today, tomorrow, and and until your time is done, because you don't know when it's going to be your last time that you get to spend with somebody. In all honesty, especially the way the world is going, so just be the best you, show up the best way you can. You feel me? Whether you got a dual parent household or you don't, figure out something you can do better tomorrow that you didn't do yesterday.
Right.
And you say you about to close, right?
Yeah.
So I do want to say something. Also, like as a father or a parent in general, right? Self-care is super important. So you have to make sure. So any training that I went to, they always use a statement when you get on the plane. In case of an emergency, put your oxygen mask on prior to helping someone else.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of times as parents, we don't do it. And I also heard you say throughout the duration, like counseling and things like that. You have to make sure that you're okay in order to make sure your family is okay, right? And I mean, obviously you can't ignore them completely, but you got to make sure that you're okay. Yeah. So.
Okay, I like that, because a lot of people talk about self-care too, and it's interesting that a lot of men that I have on here, and we talk about the roles of fathers, like most men are talking about self-care now, and they have not, mom, we barely talk about self-care, and we think self-care is getting our nails done or whatever. That ain't even self-care, but it's things deeper. Sometimes just sitting in a quiet space for your own is self-care. But I'm glad you brought that point up. Definitely take care of yourself, again, because you're going to burn out if you don't take care of yourself. And I always say this, like my sister passed away at 36 and her husband passed away when he was 36. The girls that I have, they were 4 and 6 when their dad died and 6 and 8 when their mom died. That wasn't a lot of time with their parents. They've been with me more than they've been with their biological parents, right? So every moment counts. Everything counts. Making sure that you're taking care of your health so that you can be around for your children.
Yes.
Self-care, whatever it is for you, and making sure that you're allowing your kids to get self-care too, because you can't teach them self-care if you're not doing it yourself. And self-care is important for everybody. Even the dogs need self-care. They need to be out. You know what I mean? So I think it's so important, and I like that you said it. So again, all things that we're talking about fathers, the role of a father, the importance of the father, and I think that we did an amazing job this month talking about it, and for you just to round us all, because you pretty much brought it all together, the importance of a father. So certainly appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And talking to us about all different aspects of that, and just a role as a father in the house and in the community. Because I believe, as the gentleman was on last week, that we can build better communities if we build better homes. So we need to build back our homes, okay? Yeah. So if you got anything tonight, like from anything, just be better, do better, so we can have better.
Yes.
All right? Thank you guys for joining Panther with a Purpose. I am your host, Donna Janelle, where we strive to bring back the responsibility, nobility, and beauty back into parenting. We know it's hard, challenging, but it's beautiful too. It's challenging, but it's beautiful too. I'm just going to keep saying that, y'all. So thank you guys for joining us.